67% of people say they are living paycheck to paycheck. Around 26% admit they spend more than they earn each month. Before those people go officially broke, the same quiet pattern shows up every single time. By the end of this video, you will know what that pattern is, how to spot it in your own life in under 15 minutes, and how to pull yourself back before your next month turns into a financial crash you cannot undo. So let us talk about what always happens before you go broke, through Harry. Harry is 33. He drives for rideshare and food delivery on 3 different apps. His income feels flexible. In a typical month, he brings home about $3,147 after gas and basic app fees. Rent on his basement studio eats $1,203. His car payment is $417. Insurance is $169. Phone and data for all the driving is $107. The numbers look tight but not terrifying. On paper, he is not broke. He is just normal. If you read money forums or talk to people who ended up in bankruptcy court, you see the same pattern again and again. The month they went officially broke did not feel like a disaster at the start. It felt like every other month. Most people think going broke is about one big event, a job loss, a health crisis, a divorce. Big events matter. But that is not the thing that always happens. There is something that happens before the big event, something smaller that you can see in advance, if you know where to look. In the book Your Money or Your Life, Vicki Robin talks about watching your money the way a pilot watches fuel and altitude, not as a moral test, just as vital signs. Most people do the opposite. Right before things get dangerous, they look away. Harry did exactly that. One Sunday night, he is sitting in his car between rides, scrolling his banking app. The checking balance is $241. The credit card is at $3,819 with only $200 left before the limit. Rent is due in 9 days. He feels a jolt of panic. Then he does what almost everyone does. He closes the app and tells himself, "I will do more hours next week." That is the first part of the pattern. Before you go broke, your money stops being numbers you face and becomes a feeling you avoid. You move from, "I know my situation," to, "I hope it somehow works out this month." You might recognize this. You stop opening bank emails. You swipe away low balance alerts. You tell yourself you will check everything after this busy week. Then another week passes. While that avoidance grows, something else is happening in the background. Across North America, a huge share of people now spend almost everything they earn. Surveys keep finding that around 2/3 of people are either living paycheck to paycheck or say they would struggle with a small surprise bill. That is not random chaos. That is the second part of the pattern. Your fixed promises quietly climb over a line your income cannot support. Promises are the payments you are locked into. Rent, car, insurance, loans, buy now, pay later plans, subscriptions you forgot about. When Harry first started driving full-time, his fixed promises were low. A shared room with a friend for $589. A paid-off old car that cost him mostly gas and repairs. As the app money started to feel steady, he did what many people do. He upgraded. Month 1, he signs a lease on the solo basement studio. Rent jumps to $1,203. Month 2, the old car dies on the side of a highway. He panics, goes to a dealership, and drives away with a used crossover. Payment $417, insurance up to $169. Month 3, he replaces a broken laptop with a buy now, pay later plan. $47 a month. Adds 2 streaming bundles. Another $33. None of those decisions on their own seem like going broke. His friends even congratulate him. Finally, your own place. Nice car. You deserve it. But something changed underneath. If you add Harry's fixed promises now before food or gas or anything fun, they sit at about $1,869 a month. His average take-home is $3,147. On paper, that still leaves more than $1,000. It seems fine, except it is not, because before you go broke, there is a point where math and real life stop matching. That is the point almost nobody measures. In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel talks about how people break not when a line on a chart says they should, but when their own personal margin for error disappears. It is not just about income. It is about room for mistakes. That room is the third part of the pattern. Your margin for mistakes shrinks to almost zero. Look at Harry's next weeks. Gas for all those rides is about $342 by the end of the month. Food, mostly quick stuff and late takeout, lands around $419. Random life spending, like a gift for his nephew, a hoodie, and snack stops, eats another $200. By the time rent and car payments hit, his checking account dances dangerously close to zero. He tells himself he will use the card for just this week and make a big payment next month. That big payment never comes. In almost every story where people confess that they are behind on rent or facing repossession, you see the same sequence. Fixed promises creep up, emergencies show up, the card balance grows. The person looks away, promising future hustle will fix it. So what is the thing that always happens before you go broke? You cross an invisible line where your promises and your pattern guarantee a negative future month unless something extreme happens. Not a line of morality, a line of math. The problem is nobody teaches you where that line is. Consumer surveys show that many people say they could not cover even a $400 surprise bill in cash. Others say they would have to borrow to handle a $1,000 emergency. At the same time, many of those people carry car payments, card balances, and subscriptions stacked on top of each other. They stepped over the line without realizing it. Harry had no idea either. He just kept driving. Then month 4 hits. A small accident. He taps the bumper of a parked car while trying to grab an order. Insurance covers most of it, but there is a deductible of $683. He puts $300 on his card, borrows $300 from a cousin, tells himself he will pay him back in 2 weeks. The cousin waits. 2 weeks stretch into 2 months. By now, his card balance nudges past $4,200. Interest silently eats more than $50 every month. His minimum payment barely touches the real problem. Remember that line we talked about? Here is the best way to see it. If your fixed promises plus the minimums on your debts regularly sit above about 70% of what you bring home, and you do not have at least 1 month of expenses in cash, you are already in the pre-broke zone. You may not feel broke yet. You may not have missed a payment, but the date you go broke is already hiding in your calendar. You have turned every small surprise into a future emergency. That 70% line is not magic. Money writers like Dave Ramsey and Vicki Robin tell people to lower fixed costs and build a buffer. When people say they are living paycheck to paycheck, it is usually because their promises crossed that line and they never built a month of breathing room. Look at Harry's numbers again. $3,147 in income. Fixed promises and minimum payments now add up to a little over $2,200 a month. That is around 70%. Some months, when his rides are slower, it is even higher. He has already passed the line. He just has not seen the consequences yet. So month 5 arrives. A slow week on the apps, 2 storms, 1 food poisoning night where he cannot drive. His income falls to $2,600 something. The promises do not fall with it. Rent still wants $1,203. Car still wants $417. Insurance, data, streaming, buy, now pay later, and card minimums all show up on time. There is nothing left for gas, nothing left for food. He swipes the card, hits the limit, then discovers a bank fee for going negative on his checking account. This is the moment people point to and say, "That is when I went broke." But the real moment happened months earlier, when the pattern locked in. The question that matters for you is not, "Am I broke today?" It is, "Have I already crossed that line and locked in a future crash date?" The good news is this: you can see that line. You can move before you hit the wall. Harry only started turning things around when a friend sat him down at a diner at midnight and forced him to write his life on one piece of paper. They did something simple that money books keep recommending. They turned his money from feelings back into numbers. His friend drew 3 boxes on a napkin. Top box, what came in last month. Middle box, promises that must be paid no matter what. Bottom box, what is left for everything else. Then he told Harry, "We are not leaving until you fill these in. All of them. No rounding." Harry opened the apps he had been avoiding. He wrote $3,147 in the top box. He listed every fixed payment he could think of in the middle. Rent, car, insurance, phone, laptop plan, streaming, card minimum, money owed to cousin. When he added them, the total was $2,391. That left $756 in the bottom box. Now his life finally matched the math. $756 for gas, food, everything random and emergencies. Here is the part you can steal. Your first step is not a complicated budget. It is not a perfect app. It is this 3-box snapshot. Box 1. What came in over the last full month? Not what your job promises. What your account received. Box 2. Every promise that pulls money out whether you are ready or not. Rent or mortgage, car, insurance, minimums, loans, subscriptions, child support, anything that is not optional. Box 3. The gap. Whatever is left. If Box 2 is above about 70% of Box 1 and your savings is less than 1 month of those promises, you are standing in the same pre-broke zone Harry was. You do not need to panic. You do need to act. Harry's friend made him do something brutally simple next. He drew a line through the middle box and wrote, "For the next 6 months, this line must move down, not up." That became Harry's rule. Every decision had to answer one question. Does this push the promises line up or pull it down? He switched to a slower but cheaper internet plan. That dropped $23 from the middle box. He canceled 2 subscriptions he barely used. There went another $33. He refinanced the car once his payment history was clean enough. That dropped the monthly payment by roughly $80. After 4 weeks, the middle box total had fallen from $2,391 to $2,256. He did one more thing. He set a hard rule about gas and food. He looked at his last 3 months and saw that he had averaged more than $700 combined. He gave himself a target of $600 for the next month and wrote it on a sticky note in his car. Every night before he turned off the engine, he opened his bank app and checked how close he was to that $600. If he was running hot, he cooked at home or batch-cooked simple, cheap meals. Those shifts did not make him rich, but they did something more important. They widened his margin for mistakes. At the end of the next month, for the first time in over a year, he had $127 sitting in his account after everything was paid. He moved it into a boring savings pocket and labeled it Runway. Month 2, he repeated the process. He dropped one more subscription. He negotiated his car insurance down by raising his deductible slightly now that he drove more carefully. Gas and food stayed near the $600 target. By the end of that month, his Runway pocket held more than $300. Nothing dramatic happened. He did not win the lottery. He did not double his income. He simply reversed the thing that always happens before you go broke. Instead of promises creeping above the line and margin shrinking, he made his promises shrink and his margin widen. By month 4 of this system, his fixed promises and minimums sat closer to 60% of his average income. When a tire finally blew on the highway and cost almost $300, he was scared, but not destroyed. He used his Runway pocket, then rebuilt it over the next 2 months. Here is what this means for you. Before anyone goes broke, their life almost always passes through the same hallway. First, they stop looking at real numbers and start living on feelings. Second, their fixed promises silently cross a line their income cannot safely support. Third, their margin for mistakes shrinks to almost nothing, so any random bill becomes a crisis. You do not have to keep walking forward. Tonight, take one sheet of paper or one simple note on your phone. Draw those 3 boxes. What came in last month? Every promise that must go out. What is left? Do not round. Do not guess. Take 20 minutes and pull the numbers. If your promises box is close to or above 70% of what came in, your job becomes simple for the next 6 months. The only financial scoreboard that matters is this question. Did my promises line go down this month or up? If it goes down, even by $20, you are moving away from broke. Add one more habit. Whenever money hits your account before you scroll or spend, slide a small odd amount into a safe pocket labeled Runway. It can be $11. It can be $27. The amount matters less than the fact that there is now a gap between you and disaster. Going broke is not a lightning strike. It is a pattern. And once you see that pattern, you can break it. Harry did not become rich overnight, but the month he stopped avoiding his numbers, pushed his promises below the line, and started growing even a tiny runway was the month his broke date stopped moving toward him. That quiet, boring shift is what always happens.